If you own a business and you have a position in Canada that is hard to fill, and you have a family member who is outside of Canada, who has the skill sets needed to fill that position, are you able to hire that foreign national using an LMIA, a labor market impact assessment? The answer to that question is yes, you may be able to do so, but you have to ensure that your LMIA application is very much above board. Welcome back. My name is Donovan Francis. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer at Goose Law Immigration, where we help businesses with their employees' work permit applications and save them from all of the legal hassle. In this video, I want to talk about a specific question that we've gotten, which is, are you able, if you're a Canadian business owner, are you able to hire a family member who is not themselves a Canadian? So you may have a family member who is either outside of Canada or even inside Canada, but who is not a Canadian permanent resident or Canadian citizen. Can you hire that? Are there restrictions around hiring family members as part of your LMIA application process? And the answer to that first part of the question is no. There are no specific restrictions that says you cannot hire a family member when you're filing an LMIA application. In fact, that is something that we've been able to assist a Canadian business to do. The issue, though, isn't so much whether or not the person you're wanting to hire on an LMIA is a family member. The issue is whether or not the position you're trying to fill in Canada is specialized or is so difficult to fill using a Canadian that you have to resort to finding somebody outside of Canada to do it. And that is where the biggest challenge will come from. So to give you a bit of context, an LMIA, a labor market impact assessment, is what an employer is required to get the blessing of the Canadian authorities before they go ahead and offer a job to a foreign national. Okay, and this blessing comes in the form of a positive LMIA, an approved LMIA. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule, known as LMIA exemptions, but broadly speaking, a Canadian employer must first get the government's go-ahead before hiring a foreign national. This go-ahead is known as the LMIA. And so, if you own a business and you have a job that you need to get filled, and you are struggling to find somebody inside Canada to fill that role for whatever reason, it may be very high skilled, or it may be a low skilled type job that Canadians are disinterested in. But for whatever reason, you're unable to find a Canadian to fill that role, you may be able to, as part of your LMIA application, include submissions for a foreign national. And it doesn't matter if that foreign national is a family member, but that foreign national must possess the skill sets that you require for the job. And you must be able in that application to convince the immigration authorities that you have not been able to find a suitably qualified Canadian to fill the role. And so it's going to be very important that it's always important that in these applications, you show that you've made efforts, you've advertised the role, you've interviewed candidates if there were candidates, and you just have not been able to find the right candidate. Where there's a family member involved, or advice typically to clients is that you go above and beyond the minimum requirements that the government has given. Right? So generally speaking, there's a minimum requirement that when you're applying for an LMIA, that you would have advertised the role in at least three different job sites inside Canada. Right? We advise clients, especially where there's family involved, that you advertise on at least 4. You're going above and beyond, and you be very transparent about your efforts to find somebody inside Canada. Because at the end of the day, you want the Canadian, the officer who is assessing the application to be satisfied that you have made a legitimate and genuine effort to find somebody inside Canada, and that there really is a challenge within the Canadian labor market to find somebody with the skill sets that are matching the position that you're wanting to fill. Okay? So that's going to be very important. But at the end of the day, if you're able to do that, then your chances of success are going to be just as good as they would be if the candidate you're trying to hire was not your family member. So the fact that the candidate is a family member does not in and of itself take away your ability to attempt to hire them through the LMIA process. But again, you want to ensure that you go above and beyond in your LMIA application to proactively avoid any kinds of issues that may otherwise arise. All right. So I trust you found value from this. As always, remember to like our videos so others will see more videos like this. Subscribe to our channel so you'll be notified the next time we publish a video. And check us out on go.gooselaw.com. Thanks. See you again.